The RBN Roundtable brought to you by the people. The people. Running the world as it should be. All right, let me stop. And are we good on Rumble? Come on, let's get ready to rumble. All right. Welcome to the RBN Roundtable for July 2025. I'm one of your hosts, James Fauntleroy. Good to see my sister from another mister and my brother from another mother. Good to see y'all.
What's going on, Jaybe? What's going on, Nick?
What's poppin'? My friends, my fellas, great to be back on the Jaybe and Sabby show. Great to be here with my brothers and sisters. I must say I'm proud of you guys as well because I feel like, especially in this new era of RBN, with the focus on mutual aid, I think that should be as always, our biggest focus. And I know Sabby, she has an RBN mutual aid. I believe school supplies. Correct me if I'm wrong. Event coming up. Jaybe has been organizing mutual aid in Florida, so it's exciting to be entering this new era of RBN with you guys. So I'm proud of you guys. It's always great to be on the RBN Roundtable with you guys. So what's popping, my friends?
Proud of you too, Nick, because you and Rome have been doing the damn thing. I mean, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., I mean, that's a big deal.
It was great to meet the comrades out there as well because it's very easy to become disillusioned in this era of politics. And that's like recharging your batteries when you actually get in the street and actually meet people, help someone out directly, make a material difference in their life. That's why I had the break. And then I came back immediately recharged because you got to, once you hit the ground and once you actually engage in mutual aid. And I was talking to a longtime viewer of RBN, there was a few of them there. And he was explaining to me that he was very motivated to start a mutual aid chapter at home. He was asking me for advice, and he was explaining how much better he felt because he had the same anxiety many other Americans have watching the news every day, seeing genocide every day. So I implore everyone. That's why I want to start the show with, and this is what I've been heavily advocating for, especially if you guys been watching my Nick at Primetime show. Please don't just dread and gloom watch these shows and scroll on Twitter and write to your leftist pen pals. Let's get organized. Find an organization that you can support, and let's get activated because now is the time. It's great to be with you guys.
Yeah, definitely. So while we're at it, guys, if you guys have not already, have you go ahead and like the stream? Go ahead and give a like to the stream. This helps us out very much to be able to reach more people. Part of the reason why we're doing this is because we know the YouTube algorithm can be weird sometimes, right? But one of the major things, honestly, really does help us out is, liking. Even after our stream's done, if you guys have some thoughts, go ahead and comment your thoughts. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Do all these things. Why? Because it helps us to reach more people. And one of the things that we try to do is we try to walk the walk and talk the talk. So that means doing mutual aid out in these areas. Building dual power, and also letting you guys know how the world really works under this system and how we collectively can actually change it. But what helps us is to be able to reach more people so that we can build critical mass. So if you guys can do that for us, that'd be great. So thank you so very much. As well, if you guys have not already, go ahead and subscribe to our Substack at revolutionaryblackout.substack.com. Gives you email notifications whenever we go live, like when Nick goes live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, as well as whenever we have any clips that come up as well. The clips have been bangers, by the way. I just have to say that. Yeah. And if you guys like to email us, you guys can email us at revolutionaryblackout@outlook.com so that you guys can give us any encouraging words or anything newsworthy that you guys find as well. So you guys, you want to say just a couple hellos? There's some people in the chat. All right. Because we are of the people. Let's get to the people. All right. Starting off, who do we got in here? All right. We're going to start off with All one saying coming in saying, may good things come. Absolutely. We are talking about some things. We're actually talking about kind of a good news story, you know? So we're going to be getting into that in a little bit, as well as DC Fairbanks. Miss Dana always coming in with all the info. I'm going to call you Info Dana. Info Dana. All right, we have Ashura coming in saying, hello, Dana, what's up? Oh, give us some love to people in the chat. Crazy Cat coming in at love you so much, JB. Wait, why is it everybody's at instead of their regular username? What did YouTube do something? I don't know, whatever. And also Breakthrough said the 100%. Oh yeah, banger after banger. Yes. Eternal banger.
Oh, it looks like they did what Twitter did.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking at. Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, YouTube say we can cuss now. They desperate. now they changing their interface. I see you, YouTube. You trying to catch up. I see you. It's all good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. We see it. Chris Allegre. Good to see you. All right. We have Joe coming in saying hello. All right. We have Joseph saying, what's it doobie do, everyone? All right. Hopefully you guys are paying attention while you're partaking of some of your doobie do too. All right. We have Joe Blow. Oh, Lord. Joe Blow coming in. What is that? Is that a smiley face with hearts? All right. We have Ryan coming in saying hello to my RBN fam. We have Blue Sky says, hi, Sabby. What? Okay. That was weird. Okay. We have Silver Surfer says Jaybe, Sabby, and Nick.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. Brampton says love and respect from Toronto. We have Canadian people up in here. Good to see you. All right. We have I'll just call you Under. He says yo. And then we also have, just making sure I get the people who I haven't gotten to. Oh, I haven't seen this person. I haven't seen you in a while, Brampton. Says it was I was doing on this George Galloway too. It's not doing this on every channel. Maybe the Zios want to identify us more. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We have Amy coming in. Good to see you. Good day, all. We'll be at the Greens A&M later this weekend. Hope to see you there if you're attending. A&M annual something, I guess. Okay. And then we have Zoya. The life-giving Zoya says, RBN Live, we're about to learn something. Good to see you, Zoya. All right.
Life.
Mm-hmm. Deep Green says, hello from Brentwood, New York. New York! All right, I see you. We have, let's do a couple more before we get in. There's scrolls. Okay, Under says, peace to all. DW. Darkwing Duck says, hi, guys. Silver Surfer says Zoya. Okay. All right. And let's get into what we're going to be talking about today. So there's a couple of news stories that we're going to get into, and I just want to share the thumbnail before we get in so you guys know exactly what it is. Oh, sorry. Not that. I mean, we do look good, but not that. All right, so we're going to be giving an update on the Christian Smalls. So we're going to get an update on that. We're also going to be talking about senators that are for genocide. And so I picked out 3 that are pretty relevant. These are Democratic senators that voted for genocide, of course. Yeah, we got to get into that. And then I'm also going to be talking about a health registry that Trump is trying to implement. And what possibly dangerous could happen? What could go wrong? So we're going to get into that because we didn't organize the order yet. I'm going to go with my story first just because it's very quick, and we'll get into that. And whatever you guys want to get into next, we can get into that. So as far as the healthcare of the nation, I have have my share of concerns, especially with RFK Jr. Some people, see some of the things that are good. Like, there's some things I may agree with RFK Jr. on, like getting like a lot of the chemicals out of the food, things like that. Like get like the red 40 and the yellow number 5, stuff like that. I have to agree with that, right? Why not just use beet juice? Why not just use, other different types of natural food colors that aren't manufactured, right? But one of the things that actually concerned me was actually a story that had came out, and it's not really making the rounds that much. And I'm kind of concerned that it's not making the rounds. And so I want to get into this story here. It is out of the Associated Press that I want to get into around really a health registry from the government. And let's get into this. So it says Trump administration launches new private health tracking system with big tech's help.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I told you. This is weird, y'all. It's getting weird. Right? Okay. It says the Trump administration is launching a new private health tracking system that asks Americans to share health data and medical records with private tech companies. Nick, Sabby, what can go wrong? Please, somebody please calm down.
Make America healthier again. Like it's gonna be great when people have their neural chip turned off when they criticize Israel in 2030. We're getting back. Like, is that what Make America Healthy Again was about? Was investing in a technocratic state? Like this is worse than I possibly could imagine. This is what the RFK Make America Healthy Again agenda always was about. Was making and giving the capitalist class even more control of healthcare, even more control of your lives. One of the reasons why I knew the Make America Healthy Again movement was a fraud is when RFK Jr. was asked about healthcare. One of the most important aspects of keeping yourself healthy. One of the reasons why America is such an unhealthy country is because we can't even go for pre-care before like cancer gets worse. There's no like pre-care. There's you wait till things get bad and you die. Healthcare and having access to healthcare and medicine is a crucial part of having a healthy society. So when RFK Jr. decided to side with the parasitic health insurance companies over the working class and say he opposes single-payer healthcare, that's how people should have known this entire thing is a scam. He wants more people to go into medical debt. He sees the amount it costs to have a child. He sees young parents go into medical bankruptcy and medical debt for having children. They think that's A-okay. And then they wonder why the birth rate is so low. But Sabby, I got a lot to say on this, but Sabby, Jaybe, what are you guys thought? I didn't see the story before, Jaybe. This is hilarious. This is a great topic. It's another example of MAGA selling out their movement to the technocratic state.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when RFK said, I think it was a couple of months ago, that they wanted to track everyone that had autism too, like in the country or whatever. And I was trying to warn people back then, like, this is just more surveillance. That's all this is. This is just a way for them to keep tabs on you more, right? Like, so they don't need this information. They don't need to do this, but I think they really trying to invade our privacy. I really do. Like, it's just, again, also, if RFK Jr. really cares about the food and food safety and the health of the American people, why isn't he starting with water? Why isn't he trying to find a way to advocate for people to have clean water? Why isn't he going to Flint, Michigan? Why isn't he going to Jackson, Mississippi? Like, water is a necessity. So why isn't he starting with that? Because he knows that means that they would have to hold, some of like these fossil fuel industries, and also some of these lobbyists that have donated to Donald Trump's campaign, which RFK Jr. Did support and now is a part of. They would have to come to terms with them too. They would have to press them. And so I just want people to see the difference between giving somebody crumbs and actually trying to solve a real problem. Okay, so you get the food dyes out of the food. That's nice, but I consider that to be crumbs because you still have people drinking dirty water. You still have people getting sick from the water. And like, it's not just Flint, like, it's across the country in poor towns where people don't have clean drinking water. So that's to me, it's just, again, and I see a lot of people applauding this. Okay, it's good to get the dyes out of the food, but at the same time, you also have towns in this country that are food deserts that don't even have grocery stores. So they have to shop, they have to do their grocery shopping at like Walgreens or Rite Aid, and they don't have, many healthy options. So I don't see him trying to fix those issues. That's the thing, is like, you get the food dyes out of the food or whatever. You're not solving the issue of the food deserts that exist in this country, and they're mainly in the poor areas, and you're not dealing with the water issue. So it's crumbs, it's a facade. And again, like, I think, like, for them to really take care of this issue, they're going to have to fight back against the lobbyists and the corporations that donate to Donald Trump's campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
while we're at it, sorry,
JB, you mind if I just add one more quick thing here? Just real
please,
quick.
go ahead.
Sabby, that's a devastating argument against the Make America Healthy Again movement. One I need to start using more regarding how he never advocates for clean water. But if we're gonna dive down this thought pattern, like, let's think more about it, about why the capitalist agenda that RFK supports, or you can just broaden it out. Let's say neoliberalism. Why neoliberalism inherently creates an unhealthy population. Why do you guys think that is? Imagine if people had, for example, a 4-day work week, and they had more time where they're able to go to the gym. A lot of people don't have the energy or time to go to the gym. They had children. Like, for example, I had a great boxing workout with my brother, and it was very refreshing because we used to do it all the time, especially when I was in college, when we had our fight teams. We used to train all the time, but me and my brother, we trained for the first time in maybe like a year in terms of doing boxing training together. That's because he's working all the time. And then when he's not working, I'm working. Like, and you guys see how it's harder to create a healthy community in this system. And meanwhile, you have Claudia Sheinbaum. What are they doing in Mexico? They're moving to a 40-hour work week, which is essentially non-existent if you're going to be a self-sustaining working American nowadays. So I think that's another thing we have to bring into this discourse. Like, how do you actually make America healthy? You make America healthy when you don't turn into a worker robot who has no choice but to neglect their health because they spend all their time eating fast food because they always on the job. They have to rely on convenience. They don't have the time or the energy. I know countless people in my personal life who just don't have time to work out and train like that. And I think that's a big part of that. We need to reclaim a healthy life balance. The value of your life isn't contingent on how much money you make a capitalist. You understand? But JB, I'll pass you. I'm sorry. I just want to add that because that was a great point by Sabby earlier. Go ahead, JB.
Mm-hmm. So, I can say confidently that all three of us, we are focusing a lot more on our health. Sabby, is, basically Captain Marvel now because she's in the gym. Nick is over here, in the gym, kicking ass and taking names. And so I got home from the gym about less than 2 hours ago. So we're all trying to do what we can. But here's the problem. Number one, not everybody has that luxury. And while we're at it, while we're talking about not everybody having that luxury, if you're really going to try to make America healthy again, why in the world are we giving subsidies to all the food companies that put all these additives and also ultra process all these foods that they're actually cheaper than the healthy food?
Bingo.
You really want to make America healthy again? Let's start issuing more food stamps and make the food stamps eligible for you actually spend less money if you get the healthy stuff. That if you get produce, if you get fresh meat, things like that, then it's actually less money on your food stamps, right? Why don't we do something like that? If you're really focused on making America healthy again, why not close down and make sure to shut down these data centers that are affecting people in places like Memphis, which Elon Musk has to operate Grok, or these crypto centers like the one in Texas that I just did a story about on Tuesday that is causing noise pollution to the point of where it's torturing the residents there. If we're going to talk about health, making America healthy again, are we actually going to slash the military budget, which is causing obscene amounts of pollution in our air and in our water that's actually affecting our health right now, and acknowledging that climate change is actually a real thing? And if we really care about mental health and physical health, then are we going to stop the genocide that's going, and I'm sorry, not genocide, Holocaust that's going on in Gaza right now, where we are inundated day and night with pictures and photos of the inside cavities of little bodies? If we're actually going to talk about making America healthy again, then why the fuck are we still in capitalism? Because that's one of the reasons why I am sick and tired of people talking about we just need to be healthy. But then you try to answer systemic problems with individual solutions. But now they're like, oh, well, let's start putting everybody in the health registry. Oh, just like what you want to do when it comes to homeless people, because I talked about this a couple of days ago, and this should also give people vibes of something scary, because this out of Axios was talking about what to know about civil commitment, Trump's new policy for homelessness. Let's jump down here. Civil commitment is the process in which a judge or someone else acting in judicial capacity orders a person to be admitted to a psychiatric hospital or a supervised outpatient treatment facility without their consent. Specific criteria that person needs to exhibit confined varies in every state, but the guidelines usually mention those with mental illness, which we all know depression is actually a mental illness, y'all. Bipolar disorder is actually a mental illness. So these things where people can live with, those are considered mental illnesses as well. It says developmental disabilities. What, you mean like dyslexia? You mean somebody with Tourette's? You mean somebody who may be neurodivergent on the spectrum? It says, or substance abuse issues that pose a danger to themselves or others. And the thing is, like, who gets to judge that? And so now they're doing that. Then, of course, they want to do an autism registry. Now they want to register your health. And my question is, where is the line? Because if they have some type of health registry where they actually see, oh, well, you may be starting to get pre-diabetic, so therefore the corporations can start saying, you know what, we're not going to actually insure you. We're not actually going to take care of you. We're going to deny you because you are irresponsible.
Pre-existing conditions.
Right now.
Pre-existing conditions. Just something to think about. I mean, we don't know what they're going to do with that information that they gather.
Yeah. And I want to continue in this article because it goes even further. So it continues. It says officials say the new system will broaden access to health records, providing digital tools to help manage diabetes and other conditions and make monitoring wellness easier. Again, I ask, why aren't we attacking the food deserts by making sure that more grocery stores in these areas that are displaced actually have actual access to grocery stores? Why aren't we actually allowing more small farmers to be able to have access to capital, or small farmers to be able to grow within the nation? Why are we using these big corporations to do factory farming when we can actually just have local farmers? It says, meanwhile, experts caution there's a number of ethical and legal concerns. The initiative spearheaded by the administration has already freely shared highly personal data about Americans in ways that have tested legal bounds, has been met with concern from digital privacy activists. It says officials from the Center of Medicare and Medicaid Services, which is head over by the HHS, which is Health and Human Services, which secretary is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., says have said patients would need to opt in to share their medical records and data, which will be kept secure. And so this is the crazy part. Like, people are talking about how they're trying to track people's health. And my thing is like, yeah, you have to opt in because that's a HIPAA violation if they just, take it without your consent. But the question is, who would want your data like that? And why would tech companies have access to that? So this is the private public partnership that always ends up shafting us. And that's one of the things. Like whenever there's a public private partnership, beware, because that means that the corporations will have access to you. And we see how our lives have been with corporations in control. So now over our health data, y'all take the rest. I'm done.
Yep, and this is just another example of failed capitalist central planning. Because how does this help? Like, do anyone really believe that this is the groundbreaking moment that will turn over Americans' healthcare and solve this problem? No, this is just something that RFK and these people can say, "Oh, this is what we're doing to work on the problem." The same with the homelessness issue. You just mentioned that, JB. You guys see how they have no plan to actually solve the fact that our cities look like dumps, that we have homeless people all over the cities. They have no plan but to weaponize the police state against the homeless population.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in China, 70% of millennials own their homes, guys.
Mm-hmm.
We have a completely failed economic and central planning model where we don't have any solution to actually solve this problem in an intelligent way, but we will make a lot of money for the police industrial complex. We will make a lot of money for the military industrial complex. And they're going to weaponize the police state against the homeless population.
Mm-hmm.
As they allow the ruling class to continue to get away with their crimes. You guys see how their authoritarian mindset works. The relaxed, laissez-faire interpretation of the law for the ruling class, while weaponizing the police state and having intense authoritarian policies for the working class. They are the true authoritarians. I believe in the exact opposite. I believe in more relaxed, laissez-faire interpretation of the law for the working class and the working poor. Meanwhile, I believe in being vicious towards the ruling class. I think there should be more Jack Ma's. But Sabby, any final words you have on this topic? That's my final thoughts.
Yeah, I just think that they're just trying to gather more data that they can use against us. That's just how I feel. Again, like who would want to opt into this?
Yeah. I think for our next segment, I think it would be good in terms of storytelling for Sabby to go first, because we're going to discuss, I'm sure Sabby has a story about Chris Smalls. And then I have a story about the politicians who arming this state that's committing massive war crimes. So I think that's good. If you guys agree, let me know. But I think we should go in that order. Sabby, go first with the Chris Smalls story. And then I have a story about the Democratic Party still strongly supporting and arming the genocidal apartheid state, despite their voters. Like, I know I'm maybe too hard on Democratic voters sometimes, but these people are against genocide, and they're just being ignored. So that's my story coming up. But Sabby, I think it's probably best for you to go first, and you can introduce the story that way. So Sabby, I'll pass it to you.
Okay.
All right.
So let me share the thumbnail first before we get into that, just so that we have a line of demarcation. But so we already talked about the crazy part about allegedly making America healthy again. That's a farce. But next we're going to be going into the Chris Smalls update, which Sabby will be taking care of. All right, Sabs, give us the good word.
Okay, so I'm sure everybody knows that Chris Smalls was on board the Hondola. He was one of 7 American activists that was on that boat. I believe it was a total of 17 people. Israel did intercept the Hondola. I'm sure everybody knows this part, but just to give you a breakdown, they intercepted the Hondola as they got closer to Gaza, which again is piracy. It's piracy to illegally board a ship on international waters and kidnap the crew. And that's what they did, similar to what they did with Greta Thunberg and the activists that were on the previous ship from the Freedom Flotilla. So since then, Chris Smalls and other activists decided to go on a hunger strike, and they said that, obviously they're not going to eat. So of course they were taken into custody by the IDF. Now, Chris Smalls was treated very differently from what I understand, from what I've been reading following the Freedom Flotilla on X. he was treated very differently than the other activist that was on that boat. Chris Smalls was the only Black volunteer on the boat. And the information that was reported was that Chris Smalls' lawyer went to meet with him and apparently was shocked by what he saw. That Chris Smalls had been choked by the IDF. He had also been kicked by them, and they left visible bruises on him. So again, according to the statement from the Freedom Flotilla, they said that none of the other activists received that treatment. So as we've been saying before, Israel is a very racist state. And now they're trying to get Chris Smalls home. I want people to see what Medea Benjamin said. Like, they were even trying to make it difficult for Chris Smalls to come home. So let me share this video from Medea Benjamin. And Chuck posted this video here on Twitter. So listen to what Medea says.
So Medea, you were giving an update on Chris Smalls.
Well, we have the horrible information that he has been beaten, that he has been treated horribly, and that instead of sending him now out from Tel Aviv to the U.S., they're instead taking him by land to Jordan and then putting him on a plane to Dubai and then sending him on a plane to Newark from there. So he's been treated totally differently from all of the other Americans who were on the gondola, and trying to get people from the U.S. consulate in Jordan to be there when he enters Jordan, to make sure he gets on flights, to learn from him exactly how he was treated, and to provide the consular services that they refused to do when he was in Israel. And then we will have people in Newark to greet him when he arrives at 9:20 in the morning.
Can we definitively say he has been released?
Well, he's in the process of being released.
He's in the process of being released.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Can't wait until he's back in the U.S. and we hear from him directly. But we know that he was kidnapped illegally, and we know that he was treated very differently from everyone else. Racism, perhaps?
I would think so. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Whoops.
So that was from Medea Benjamin. And one thing I just want to add, continue sharing my screen here. A shout out to Chuck Modi for posting that video. But I started this last night, and I'm asking everyone to do this. The big problem I have is this. First and foremost, I take serious issue with the Black politicians, particularly the Congressional Black Caucus, the ones who have been very silent about what is happening to Chris Smalls. And so I made a call last night to say they are making Chris Smalls go through Jordan. Then they were trying to get him Saudi Arabia, Dubai, to get home. They have not treated other activists this way. And Black politicians who support Israel are silent as hell. Everyone tag a Black politician. So I tagged Representative Ayanna Pressley because she was my former representative. And people did start tagging people, like Roger tagged Hakeem Jeffries, Colorado CD7 Representative Joe Negussi. This account tagged Senator Warnock, of course. Dana tagged Cory Booker. And there's so much to be said here, because I think this is a really mask off moment. Let me stop sharing here. And yes, and Max B said it's racism. Yeah, I was talking to Max Blumenthal about this Tuesday night, and he said this just is what he said. Israel, he said they're very racist. And the reason why I said to tag Black politicians is because these are some of the same people who were kneeling in kente cloth after the murder of George Floyd. These are some of the same people who do a song and dance with Reverend Al Sharpton whenever there's another case of police brutality against another unarmed Black person in the United States. These are the same people also that were cheering on for the release of Brittany Griner, who was in Russia when she was taken prisoner there because she had CBD oil with her, which is not allowed in Russia. But when Israel is the perpetrator, it doesn't matter if the victim is Black or not. They're all silent, with the exception of Summer Lee and Rashida Tlaib. And of course, Rashida is not Black. But the point that I'm trying to make is this. These politicians have shown you who they are. All of these people need to lose their seat. I've been very, very vocal about this. All of these people need to lose their seat. The Congressional Black Caucus, in particular, had that meeting with Netanyahu prior to October 7th. They are willing to stand up and fight for a racist, supremacist state. And at the same time, they're trying to tell you that they're for civil rights for Black people here in the United States. You cannot be pro civil rights in this country and against civil rights in other countries abroad. So these people are hypocrites and they need to be called out. I sincerely hope Chris Smalls is safe. I've just been following the Freedom Flotilla account. I recommend you guys follow it on X if you're not following to keep up to date status. They said that he supposedly should be at Newark Airport early Friday morning. So we're just keeping an eye on that. And I also want to point out, it's not even just the Black politicians. AOC and Bernie Sanders were at the rally, the Amazon Union Celebration rally with Chris Smalls when he won the union fight against Amazon. They have said nothing. They are nowhere to be found. I feel like a lot of these people, they use Chris Smalls at their disposal. And now that he's in a situation that is inconvenient for them politically, they have remained silent. Corporate media outlets that interviewed Chris Smalls after he won the Amazon unionization have said nothing about this. So I want people to understand that Chris Smalls, after winning against the Amazon corporate, overlords, he could have easily just accepted all the deals, the financial deals that were thrown his way. He could have said, "Oh yes, let's make a movie about this. Let's just do this book. Let's do da 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 da." And he could have just sailed off into the sunset and made this as profitable for himself as possible. But he continued to organize, he continued to protest and fight for other causes. So he put himself in a situation that was not going to be financially comfortable for him. The last time Chris Smalls came onto this show, he told us, he was here with the Feeney, and he told us that he lost endorsements, he lost money, he lost deals, he lost followers when he said after October 7th that he was standing up for the Palestinian people. So no, it is not something that he had to do, but he did it because it's the right thing to do. And that's what people need to understand. For the people who are criticizing Chris Smalls, which I've seen on social media saying that he shouldn't have been there and that the same thing, people make that same statement for Black people who were killed by the damn police. Well, he shouldn't have been there. Well, maybe he shouldn't have had his door open. Well, he shouldn't have been walking so fast. So I think there's a lot of haters that are out there. I think there's a lot of people that are just pure jealousy. But the reality is he did not have to do it. He did it because it's the right thing to do. And everybody should be standing in solidarity with Chris Smalls right now. So I'll pass it to you guys.
I'm going to make a very bold statement, and look, some people are going to get mad, but it is what it is. I'm staying 10 toes down on this. So I say it with my full chest. You cannot be pro-Black and support Israel. Cry to your big bone mama about it. I don't care. Because the thing is that Zionism is explicitly a white supremacist ideology. Therefore, if you support Zionism, you're a coon. You're a turncoat. You're an Uncle Tom. That's exactly what you are. I'm gonna say it. Go ahead, record me, play it back on the internet. I don't care. But the thing is, like, you see what they did to Christian Smalls. You see what they did to Ethiopian Jews. You see how they speak about Black people in Israel. And you mean to tell me you're going to support that? So Kamala Harris, that's you. Barack Obama, that's you. Byron Donalds, is that you? Hakeem Jeffries, is that you? Cory Booker, we ain't forgetting about you. So these are the people that say that they care about Black lives. No, the hell they don't. These are the same ones that you'll see on a horse next to a white overseer trying to catch us back in the day. That's who they are. But they want you to think, oh, well, they're just like us because they look at us. What did Dr. Ruha Benjamin say? Black faces in high places are not going to save us. Have they been able to save Christian Smalls out of the clutches of the IDF? I'm sorry, I can't hear you from all the silence. That's the thing that a lot of times people don't think about, because they will sit there and clap and then also and they'll be like, they get AIPAC money. But no, let's not leave all the other ones, off the hook. What about the J Street money? What about the Kufi money? All these pro-Israel lobbies that you don't really hear about besides AIPAC. Hello, Track AIPAC. Are you going to talk about the people who aren't getting money from AIPAC, but they are getting money from the Israel lobby? Let's talk about that. And so the Zionism is explicitly anti-Black. So if you call yourself pro-Black and you're not calling out Zionism, now there's a difference between Zionism and Judaism. We know that. But if you're not calling out Zionism, then guess what? I'm going to look at you sideways for the rest of your life. Because if a police officer comes near me, are you going to try to turn me in for some bullshit? You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, we talk about being pro-Black all the time, but then when something actually happens to one of our own, y'all, like Beyonce said, everybody on mute. It's crazy. And it's stupid for people to sit there and be like, oh, well, he shouldn't have been over there. Well, okay. All right. Then have you guys actually looked into what Christian Smalls has been doing before that? By the way, there are Black Palestinians. You don't think he wasn't out there for them too? Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, there's a lot of breakdown. There are a lot of great things you guys said here. Unless you guys have anything else you want to add, I'm going to also use this as a way to shift to our next segment, because it is related. It's still related to Israel. But regarding Chris Smalls, I want to say this first. But go ahead, Sabby. Do you want to chime in first?
Just this part. I want to share just this part so people.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Sabby. Do that first.
Because I do remember, I remember Vicky talking about this. She responded and she said, Vicky Diller responded and said, as usual, remember Netanyahu summoned the CBC a month before October 7th. Even Biden refused to meet with him at that time. I'm demanding an investigation on what was discussed. So that's important for people to see, because she was the one that pointed me to the fact that, and I didn't know this for a long time, she was the one that woke me up to the fact that Israel doesn't even have a constitution. So when people say that Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, you got to push back with the fact that they don't have a constitution. Like they just grabbing people up, doing whatever they want to people. There's no, I mean, this is, I don't know, man. I just, like I said, the silence on what was happening to Chris Smalls, to me, I don't care. I don't care that you wore kente cloth after the murder of George Floyd. I don't care about your virtue signaling. I don't care if you marched with Dr. King back in the day. I don't care about that shit. I'm looking at what you're doing right now.
Well said.
Right now.
Well said. And I'm gonna touch on that. People don't understand how much Barack Obama shifted the Black community to the right when it comes to foreign policy. Don't get me wrong. The Black Congressional Caucus never been perfect, but they was considered the most anti-war caucus in Washington. It was Barbara Lee who was the lone vote against the Afghanistan war. So there was always this tradition of them being adversarial to the military-industrial complex. Then Barack Obama took over, and then the entire Black Congressional Caucus shifted hard to the right. Now, they're the most diehard Zionists you will find in Washington, D.C. Even the young, hip ones, the young, up-and-coming ones, the Jasmine Crockett. So it's like, I love me some Zionism. Like she has a way where she talks, where she tried to appeal to young Black women. It's so obvious. And she's trying to sell young Black people Zionism, why we got to support Israel's right to defend itself. I did so many takedown videos on her. it's so disgusting. And in my segment, I'm gonna cover how Democrats are supportive of the genocidal state. But I do want to mention this regarding Chris Smalls. I want to share this because Sabby, you made a great point. You damn near read my mind because a lot of people don't understand the kind of fascist apartheid state that we've been dealing with. And whenever they had these hostage swaps, you guys know they would do these hostage swaps at a ratio around 50 to 1, 100 to 1. For every one Israeli hostage that was released, it would be like 50 Palestinian hostages. Because a lot of people don't understand that Israel has been taking Palestinian hostages for years now. Well, so people are like, I condemn Hamas for taking hostages. How brave of you. Hamas is engaging in the same rules of war that Israel, their occupier, laid out. So why did Hamas engage on October 7th? The plan was to take Israeli hostages so they can negotiate and free the Palestinian teenagers that were stuck in torture dungeons. You will never in a million years hear me condemn October 7th, and many of these people was freed. There was hundreds, including children and women, that was held in Israeli torture dungeons without any due process. And then genocidal Westerners, they would say, we got to support Israel because they're the only democracy. They don't even have due process. Here's Amnesty International. I just dug this up as you guys are speaking. You can find countless of these stories. I've been covering this way before October 7th. That's why if you listen to Max Blumenthal, Aaron Monte, people like who've been covering this for a while, October 7th was not surprising. I was surprised it didn't happen earlier. So I'll read a few headlines, then I'll give you guys thoughts before we move on. I'll give you guys a final chance to chime in before I dive into my segment. Israel must end mass incommunicado detention and torture of Palestinians in Gaza. So they must end the torture of the Palestinians. Here's another one. UN report. I can find so many of these. Palestinian detainees held arbitrarily and secretly and subjected to torture and mistreatment. We all seen the reports of Palestinians being raped to death and Israelis protesting their right to do so. So this is another aspect I want to add to this Chris Smalls story, because when we see the reports of Chris Smalls being detained by the fascist, racist colonial state known as Israel and being beaten, that shouldn't surprise anyone. In fact, do you guys understand that what our brother, our dear brother who we love and cherish, Chris Smalls, what he is going through is exactly what Palestinians have been going through for decades. The difference is the Palestinians not going to be released. The only what's going to release these people? Only an act of resistance. Hamas released, got hundreds of Palestinian prisoners released. Anyway, I'll give you guys any final thoughts. Sabby, this is your story, James. Before I move on, because there's still a lot I want to break down regarding Chris Smalls and the reaction to it. Because I want to dive down the thread that you weaved earlier, Sabby, because you went and you was explaining how the Black Congressional Caucus and AOC and these people are not endorsing Chris Smalls. I want to go down that line a little bit more as I continue. But before I continue, I do want to give you guys a chance. Jaybe, Sabby, do you guys have anything you want to add before I move on? Going once, going twice. All right, cool. So another thing I want to mention, because Sabby mentioned how AOC and none of these people, like Cory Booker, saying anything about Chris Smalls. One thing regarding AOC before I dive into my segment here, we need to stop giving her access. Like, we know that AOC would never support RBN, but at what point does she become persona non grata and she not even invited to these events? Because remember, and this is what you tweeted about, Sabby, AOC was taking pictures with Chris Smalls. Every single Democratic politician was giving shout out to Chris Smalls. And I don't blame Chris Smalls for taking advantage of that, because his entire goal was to drive up support. I know some people are critical of that, but I understand his mentality was to accept the support of everyone who supported him. Criticize that or not, I understand it. I understand his mentality. But moving forward, how about left-wing movements bar these people and stop allowing these politicians to use our movement for clout? Just something to think about. Now, this is related because we talk about Israel treatment of Chris Smalls, and this is related to the starvation in Gaza. Now, you got to know, despite the fact that Israel is engaged in starvation as a tool of war, which is a war crime, we have Democratic senators who are voting to arm the state of Israel, which is direct violation of the Leahy's law. When you send weapons and ammunition to a country that you know is violating or committing a war crime, like using starvation into a war, that makes you complicit and that makes you a war criminal. Cory Booker being one of the many examples of the people I'm talking about in the Black Congressional Caucus. Fine, I would say maybe Lindsey Graham is the only person who's more of a neocon, but other than the Lindsey Graham tier, you won't find anyone who's a bigger neocon than the people in the Black Congressional Caucus. Show me a bigger neocon than Hakeem Jeffries. Show me a bigger neocon than Jim Clyburn. And it's been wild to watch this in my entire adult life, ever since the election of Barack Obama, watching the Black community shift to the right. Why? Because they got to justify why Barack Obama destroyed Libya. They had to justify why Barack Obama is the drone strike king. And their mind was rotted by neoliberalism, so all they have is identity politics. So instead of organizing among class, they want to organize among this Black leader and take satisfaction out of that. So in order to apologize for Obama, you have to support war. That is what shifted the entirety of the boomers to the right. People like Cory Booker, all these Black bourgeoisie. I wouldn't even say, let me rephrase that. I think it would be better for me to say the Black capitalist class, more instead of Black boomers. I will correct myself there. The Black capitalist class, if you talk to the Black bourgeois, they love Ukraine and hate Russia. They love Nazis. They hate Nicolas Maduro. Ask any Black person why they should hate Nicolas Maduro. Oh no. Ask Hakeem Jeffries. He can't stand him. Anyway, let me get to this video. I'm kind of going on here. Here's Cory Booker pretending that he's some sort of resistance to Donald Trump. I'm going to start here because I think this is funny. And Cory Booker was like, I don't think Democrats are doing enough to oppose Donald Trump as he is arming this genocide.
The Democratic Party needs a wake-up call.
Yeah, wake-up call.
I see law firms bending a knee to this president, not caring about the larger principles, that the free speech rights, that you could take on any client. Why are you bending the knee? I see universities that should be bastions of free speech bending at the knee to this president. I see businesses taking late night talk show hosts off the air because they dare to insult a president. I see people who want mergers suddenly think that they have to pay tribute to this president.
This is what counts as the Democratic Party resistance. As Cory Booker said, we need Democrats to stand up against Trump. You are supporting Trump and his ambitions of purging Gaza and ethnically cleansing Gaza. So as Cory Booker is doing these theatrical, hilarious, cringeworthy speeches, I'm standing up against Trump. We got to stand up against fascism. Look at who is that on that list there? These 17 Senate Democrats just voted with every Senate Republican to continue sending weapons so Israel can commit a genocide. Who is that right there? Cory Booker.
Hey, Nick, I got to say this. Why in the hell did Cory Booker sound like he was a WWE wrestler that was speaking? He was like, why are you bending the knee when I was the Intercontinental Champion of the WWE? We never bent the knee to these neocons, except for when we came to Netanyahu, when he actually came here and we actually had to give him all the money that we want. But we didn't do that. You know,
we need someone to put a title on Jaybe, bro. Jaybe need a push, bro. That's one hell of a promo you just cut, sir. Now, Cory Booker is amazing. I'll put Jaybe. I'll put the title on Jaybe after that one. So Cory Booker is the perfect. He's one of my favorite politicians to make fun of, because what do my nerdy ass always tell you guys? You guys don't know I'm a nerd. I got a lot of family members. I'm in the fucking Midwest, guys. There's a lot of people like pro wrestling where I live. And when I see politics, how many times have I used this example that the American politics is just fucking WWE for unathletic people, Hollywood for ugly people. So let's play more of this. This is the person who's standing up against Trump. He voted for it to send army to
People
Ukraine.
who want mergers suddenly think that they have to pay tribute to this president.
Sorry, I think this is funny.
And what are the very people here elected to defend the Constitution of the United States saying, oh, well, today let's look the other way and pass some resources that won't go to Connecticut, that won't go to Illinois, that won't go to New
You, sir, are violating the Constitution by sending weapons to a genocidal war criminal state. And then he said, oh my God, Donald Trump is redirecting funds that should go to disenfranchised communities. That's what you're doing, sir. You are sending billions of dollars to Israel as the Black community is starving, as we have a record amount of medical debt, as a record amount of Black Americans are homeless. You are deciding to arm a genocidal apartheid state, and you're accusing Donald Trump of mishandling funds. So I'm sorry, I have to do a little bit of Cory Bush bashing, but he's not the only Democrat that voted for this. But hey, this segment wouldn't be a segment if I didn't fucking bash Cory Booker at least a little bit. Because no one else on this list should be like any surprising. Chuck Schumer, he's the guy who said his job is to keep the left pro-Israel. This is all the known neocons, John Fetterman, the Vanguard's favorite senator, Christy Gillibrand, Hickenlooper. None of this stuff is surprising. This is the Democratic Party, a neocon party. And if it makes you feel a little bit better, because I have to show you guys something that at least make this segment a little bit more enjoyable, instead of seeing how we have these genocidal parties that think they're going to get away with this. And I know you guys seen it too. And it's shown, it's not only just empirical evidence, not only just what we are seeing among our community, it is shown in the numbers with record amount of Democrats. These Karens, the people who voted for Amy Klobuchar in the primaries, for example, even they're like, hey man, I don't think we should be fucking arming Israel. I believe the number, I need to dig it. I think like 70% of Democrats like, I support an arms embargo. Meanwhile, the Democrats are doing the exact opposite. While they're making grandstanding speeches against Donald Trump, pretending they're doing anything. So what is the result of this? What is the result of a party running on and supporting genocide? They thought that people would forgive them because of their Trump derangement syndrome. That is not happening. So as Donald Trump is historically unpopular too, you have Democrats that are even more unpopular than Donald Trump. It's almost like supporting a genocide is political suicide, Sabby, Jaybe. I'll read this headline. Democrats gets lowest rating from voters in 35 years. AOC and Bernie Sanders private jet funded tour to help revive the Democratic Party accomplished nothing. The Democratic Party brand is cooked. Coming from the Rolling Stones. And I'm going to share this because I have to get some props and some love to one of our comrades here, Mark, who went to Chantel Brown, another member of the Black Congressional Caucus. Isn't it funny how all things keep leading to these psychotic Black neocons? For example, if people think I'm hard on the Zionist Jewish community, you guys should have seen what I said about these Black neocons, bro. What I've been saying about them for the last few years. So this is how I'm gonna end my segment because there's still a lot more to. I want to give you guys thoughts, but this is Mark calling out Chantel Brown, and I want to highlight his great activism here, calling her out for supporting genocide.
IRS refund with a small business loan with Medicare or Social Security, please contact my office. We are here to help.
When can I get back the money you've been sending to Israel? When am I going to get back? Oh, when are you going to give back the money that you've been sending to Israel? You have been voting to give my tax dollars to Israel to commit Palestinian genocide.
And my question, I'm going to let it continue. Why isn't everyone as angry as that? Because that's how I view it. I view it as these Black traitors in the ruling class and these people who are representing us, they are betraying us in historic fashion.
Nick,
Sabby, go ahead. I think you're on mute. Go ahead, Sabby, if you want to chime in. Feel free.
Nick, look at how many people are in that room.
Let's go. Let's look for some freeze frames.
And notice it's mainly older people.
Oh
See
man,
what I was
Democrats are
saying?
cooked. Look at that gray.
Yeah.
This
See?
is like Bernie Sanders. His rallies. Remember, his rallies was full of MSNBC watching boomers. But sorry, Sabby, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, because I'll show this video again tonight too. It's really, by the way, I think that he said on his thread that he was encouraged by Jose, by Jose
Jose
Vega.
has done a lot of great work, man. He inspired a lot of people for doing this kind of direct action. Here's Jose. He said, "Bro, you're my inspiration." But let's continue the video. I'll let it play all the way through. I'll stop it when they pull him out because I want to at least show the direct action here, and then I'll get Jaybe in here as well.
IRS refund with a small business loan with Medicare or Social Security, please contact my office. We are here to help.
When can I get back the money you've been sending to Israel? When am I going to give back? Oh, when are you going to give back the money that you've been sending to Israel? You have been voting to give my tax dollars to Israel to commit Palestinian genocide. You are a paid puppet of Israel. There are babies dying right now in Palestine because of the votes that you've been making the past 2 years. You are as evil as Donald Trump.
Go that way for me.
I am a constituent of this district, and then why are you letting them take you like this?
If you wait a little while in the program, so we'll get to that, sir. Thank you.
They're not going to get to that.
Okay.
So I'm in here because at this point you just see the cop lecture him, and he do the defense of the establishment. But why is it upon him to be civil as you're supporting the starvation and the murdering of children? But sorry, I give you guys the Sabby, Jaybe, I'll let you guys chime in. Feel free.
Well, I just want to say this. For any of the Black people that, especially Black Americans, that are, sitting there supporting these Democrat politicians, I have a question for you. Why in the world are you so willing to accept that Israel's getting our reparations money? I mean, they already have tuition-free college. They have free healthcare. They got all different things that we as Black Americans don't get. And y'all gonna sit here and accept somebody giving your reparations check to somebody that's killing babies? Is something wrong? Is something wrong with y'all? Because for me, I don't want reparations money to go to somebody that's committing a Holocaust. I don't want it to come to us to keep us going, to help us thrive. But some of y'all, it don't sit right with me, because you guys are sitting here protecting, rallying around, and I'm gonna use this in the full sense, circling the wagons, because that's damn near as colonial as hell, around Black white supremacists, because that's what they are. Let's call a thing, because if Zionism is white supremacy, and if you have Black people protecting Zionism, guess what they are? Black white supremacists, right? It's the same. They're basically what you would see on a Dave Chappelle skit. So my question is, why are you so willing to allow them to give our reparations check to Israel? Or if you guys had, say, Slava Ukraine, when there was a whole bunch of Nazis in Ukraine and how they treated Black people in Ukraine, you got something right with y'all. Y'all been drinking the Kool-Aid and not the good kind. So this is why I think it is important for us to stand with people who are marginalized, because it doesn't make any damn sense for y'all to talk about, you guys should have voted for Kamala Harris, this wouldn't have happened. No, it definitely would have happened. All of the Black people that are going, this wouldn't happen under Kamala Harris. You're smoking something and it ain't the good stuff. That's one of the biggest issues that I have with a lot of Black people, especially Black liberals, and also you Black conservatives that are sitting there talking about, this is what we voted for. We voted for Donald Trump. Guess what? You're also complicit in a Holocaust. And everybody that goes, I would have stood up against the Holocaust that happened in the 1930s and 40s. Would you? Wait, hang on. let me say this. Would you have been on the side of our ancestors during the Civil War? Because we had a Holocaust going on here for Black Americans. And guess what? We have a Holocaust going over there. And y'all ain't saying shit. So that leads me to believe that y'all wouldn't be on the side of us during the Civil War. Because who was being murdered? Babies, children, women, men being massacred here in the United States because they share the same skin color as us. Well, you got brown people babies being murdered, starved, women and children and men being murdered, rape, mass sexual assault, all that stuff happening over there, and you guys are staying silent. Are we being human or are we just cheering for a team? Wake up, y'all. Because this is the point.
Very well said, Jaybe. One thing I want to mention as well, you notice how we are seeing Democratic senators who voted against armed shipments to Israel, who voted for it under Joe Biden. Why do you think that is? You guys see how the Democratic Party is the most effective evil? Because the Joe Biden and the Biden administration was whipping votes for genocide. CNN wasn't covering any stories about Palestinians being murdered. I've covered how Palestinians was being assaulted at aid locations ever since the start of this conflict. But CNN just now discovered it. So you got to see how Democrats and liberals only start caring about stuff under a Republican president. But not only that, the Democratic president is usually so much better at committing evil than the rookie Donald Trump, who can't even get his own base in line. Like, Biden's like, look at this fucking rookie. He can't even get his base to support genocide. But you have Biden, who whips support in the media. He trains the media to repeat his lines, and he trains senators to whip vote for a genocidal state, which would not be possible under the Republican Party. So, guys, I would never in a million years undermine the evil of the Republican Party and the evil of Donald Trump. But I really need you guys to listen to our brother Glenn Ford, who explained that the Democratic Party is the most effective evil. I look at Donald Trump; he's a stupid puppet who Putin is playing like a fiddle. All his enemies playing like a fiddle. They are amateurs compared to what someone like Amy Klobuchar will pull off. Can you imagine what that nerd would have accomplished? But Sabby, I think you want to chime in. Do you want to chime in, Sabby? I'll pass it to you.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's definitely partisan, because another thing that we were covering too, it was independent media we were the ones that were showing you guys the videos of the IDF soldiers burning aid on the aid trucks. That was happening under Biden's administration. Yep. We were talking about that. CNN and MSNBC, they weren't talking about that. Fox News wasn't covering it again, to protect, because Democratic Party, to protect them. But notice how everybody got on message, like now that it's under Donald Trump, everybody is calling out, oh, we can't starve these children. But they didn't say anything about that when the children were being starved under Biden, but it was independent media that was covering that.
Yeah, Sabby, under Joe Biden, liberals were saying stuff like, hey, can you define genocide? Define ethnic cleansing. You got to see when a Democrat is in charge, all these professional, managerial, liberal nerds, they play lawyer for the government in order to justify their support. If there's a Republican, they hate the Republican, there's no need for them to play legal gaslighting tricks. This is why Malcolm X said that these liberals like fucking, they're like tricky, they're foxes, they're manipulative, and they get evil accomplished in a much more effective way than we see these clown Republicans who are just so out in the open. There's a giant coalition that leads against them. Even Trump's MAGA base, and this will be the last thing I'll share because I think this kind of fed our conversation. This is a real quick few things I want to show you guys. On the theme of Americans turning against Israel, even though Trump is like, hey man, it's kind of hard to sell this. Look, Trump said, and this came out today, Trump said apparently to Jewish donors that MAGA world is starting to hate Israel. You don't fucking say.
That's big.
Yeah. Sabby, that is big, because now you got Donald Trump acknowledging this elephant in the room. Because we was almost like, man, are we being gaslit? Because we looking at MAGA reactions to Trump and Israel. And I'm like, is it because of my algorithm? Like, I don't know if it's real, but if it's coming from the big man himself, you know, they got internal polling. They were seeing the reactions from their base. This is very, like you said, Sabby, this is huge. And I have a hotspot video on this subject coming out. That's why I don't have to dive too deep into this. I released it already on Exit. I'm going to show it on my Naked Night program tomorrow. But Donald Trump is essentially threatening a trade war against Canada because Canada is recognizing a Palestinian state. So you want to know what Donald Trump is saying to the American people? Make America great again by forcing Americans to pay more for goods, pay more in food and gas in order to protect his favorite genocidal apartheid state in the Middle East. How does that make America great again? So there's a lot of these right-wing accounts. Look, sorry, friends, gonna have to pay for more gas and groceries because Canada is doing something Israel doesn't like, and we all know who actually runs this country. And I'm gonna show you some more. Like this, a lot of these MAGA accounts are going hard at Trump. Trump says the trade deal with Canada probably won't work because they recognize Palestine as a state. Is Trump the most Israel compromised president in history? He worked for them at the expense of America. And China calling it as it is. This be the last thing I'll read, and then I'll pass to you, Jaybe. China is like, hey man, do you guys see that your president is a puppet? China is like baffled whenever they see United States politics. They're like, hey, do you guys realize that he is not working for you guys? China's foreign ministry, Trump is 100% controlled by Israel. And by the way, for all the people who hate my messaging and hate the way that I talk about the anti-Semitism hoax and how I talk about what I view as rotten Jewish institutions, you guys should read what they say on Red Note if you're ever bored. By the way, if you don't know, people in China, they don't really use the term Zionist, just to FYI, to let you know how angry they are about this conflict. They don't even use the word Zionist. I'm going to just leave it there. The global community turned against Israel, and Zionism has made Jewish people more unsafe than any fucking movement since the era of the Nazis. And it's not even close. So sorry for the rant. Any final thoughts you guys have, Sabby, Jaybe? Any chats that you want to read? James, I'll pass it to you if you guys have any other thoughts.
All right. So any last words, Sabs, did you have? All right. So with that, thank you very much for that segment, Nick. Everybody, you know, do the damn thing. Do the right thing. Go ahead and give a like to the video. In the arms of an angel. No, I'm sorry. You can donate to your local. Donate a local like to your local independent media outlet. Anywho, let's get into the comments and the chats. I'm going to start off with the Rumble to see if we have any Rumble rants first. And then if not, then we will move on to the regular chat here. So it looks like we're pretty good. I don't see any Rumble rants right now. Thank you very much to everybody who's on the Rumble side. I'm going to check on the Rockfin side. Yes, we do have a tip on Rockfin. All right. Let me go here and share the screen. All right. So thank you very much to Roger. He says, okay, JB, got you and it's Akile with the E in the end. Akile to agree for Uhuru and Mutual Aid RBN to come together for a citizen ballot initiative. I'm not going to let this go. All right. Thank you very much for that on there, Roger. And then we shall get to the chat here. I'm going to read the super chats first just to make sure that we're on time. All right. Thank you to Sparky. Says, don't forget, RK Jr. doesn't believe in, I got to be careful, blank theory. Clean water is as far from his concern as possible due to his own views.
Not believing in germ theory is wild, bro. Like you got like I love reading about history, and they used to have like the dirty air theory on how illness spreads. Like, bro, there's a reason why like child mortality was crazy high during Europe. Bro, people had no idea what the fuck they was doing. They thought people got sick by inhaling dirty air, and they thought that if you inhale air that smelled bad, they thought that like smell was everything. But now we know that germs played a big part. That's another reason why the plague spread the way that it did. We believe now that with modern understanding of how germs spread, that maybe the plague could have been contained better in the modern age. But these motherfuckers had no idea that sneezing on someone, having germs spread to body is what led to illness. They thought that there's like these spores that if you breathe it, nothing you can do. Like, anyway, the point is, not believing in germs, that's fucking crazy, bro. That's modern science 101. It's not even like conspiracy theory shit. That's like how we understand how our body fights diseases. Like, it's a huge breakthrough. So that I think that I haven't seen what he said about it, so I'm taking that person's word for it. But that alone is extremely disqualifying for someone. I don't know. I'm open to hear the counter argument, but that to me is extremely disqualifying. But go ahead, Jaybe.
I mean, well, look at Europe, especially during the Black Plague. One of the reasons why the Black Plague was so massive was because, number one, people didn't know how to wash their hands, right? And especially in like African, Arab, and indigenous cultures, washing hands was seen as the usual thing. But during the Black Plague in Europe, they didn't wash their hands. You know, I mean, showers were something that was rare. I mean, you got maybe a bath when you were not showers, but baths were
they did
really
blood curling. When they had the plague, they thought they would cut open people and open small cuts all over their body because they thought their blood was contaminated. So they thought that if you have a lot of blood that leaves the body, it would help cleanse yourself and help bro. It's a dumb shit. That's what, guys. By the way, that's what they used to believe before germ theory, and now we know that was possibly the dumbest thing you could do because when you lose a lot amount of blood, when there's a large amount of blood loss really fast, your immune system powers down. So these dumbass, sorry, I won't say dumbass because there's no reason why they would know. I wouldn't say dumbass. I'd be nice. They was actually making people more likely to be killed and more likely to catch the virus by many things they did, like blood curling. But anyway, I'll spare you guys the lecture. That's something I read about a while ago. That's why not believing that's crazy. But JB, go ahead. I'll pass it back to you.
But also one of the reasons why they also had a lot of germ spread is because a lot of things like rats and stuff like that, and rats have fleas, things like that, would spread the germs. And the people who actually had the least amount of effect were the people who actually had cats in their house. Why? Because cats, would catch the rats. So yeah, they didn't have sanitation structure as well. So that was bad. Thank you very much for that. The Citizen says the white empire uses violence for a reason, and that reason being it works. Quite unfortunate. We have Chimadu says, also tell this to the so-called pro-Black influencers that try to convince us to ignore what's going on in Palestine and that it's not our problem.
You mean the white women that cosplay as Black women? People don't understand how much of a big problem that is, actually. And there was just a study that came out. This is why I mentioned before. I always joke about I don't understand why people allow themselves to be stressed. I'm like, I need to take a Twitter break. I'm so stressed. It was just a study that just came out today that 50% of the internet is fucking bots. Dead internet theory is real, guys. I'm seeing people getting triggered over bots. And when I see these FBA people, and I know because I am an FBA, I'm a foundational Black. I am not seeing these Black people that are just hatred and have intense hatred towards Palestinian activism movement. Like, people understand there's an active coordinated bot movement where these fake accounts that want to drive anger and division. And that's what a lot of these accounts are. You see these fake, it will be a profile picture of a rapper to give you an impression that they're Black. It's a common thing to do. It'll be like a black celebrity. It'll be someone with a Beyonce profile picture, or there'll be like many stock profile pictures that are taken of black women, and then they post some pure imperialism bullshit, pro-democrat bullshit. And I need people to wake up and realize a lot of these motherfuckers are not real. Like, people are getting triggered by these bot farms. And I gotta show you guys this tweet where it shows all these setups of these thousands of employees and thousands of cell phones that send in bot messages everywhere. And I truly believe that's a large part of it. Why do I say that? Not only because I go to pro-Palestinian protests, I go to the protests. Who largely make up the makeup of these protests? Young Black Americans, young brown Americans, our Muslim brothers and sisters. And it is reflected in the polls. Among the polls, you want to know who is against Israel the most? Black Americans. You want to know who's the most socialist in the country? According to a recent poll, I didn't get a chance to actually report on it. 60% of Black Americans have a positive view of socialism. These unhinged Black neoliberals you see on Twitter, you guys have to understand, a lot of these are DNC troll farms and farms made by the CIA to stoke division. Unless I see a profile picture of you, unless I actually see you doing shit, I'm not gonna take anything you say serious. Like, honestly, that's just how you gotta roll in the internet age, and people gotta acknowledge that that's a big part of it. But go ahead, James and Sabby.
Yeah. All right. Also, I wanted to point this out. Yes, Yusa says Kufi is the Christians United for Israel. So yes, the Christian Zionist lobby and those groups are a huge problem in this United States. And this is why I as a former evangelical, I call out Christian Zionists like crazy, because they become the Antichrist that they say that they warn about. They are the Antichrist in that way.
Remember, you had a ton of Black churches that was endorsing Jim Crow Joe as he was committing a genocide. Now,
somebody want to talk to Reverend Jeremiah, right?
And I went very hard in that segment, bro. There's some people like, hey, Nick, give me comment, bro. How are you not upset that someone is endorsing genocide and whitewashing? And I played the video 1,000 times. I don't have to dig it up, where this preacher, he was holding Joe Biden's hands, singing prayers with them. You're defiling the house of God. What are you doing? Having a genocidal scumbag being celebrated in your church?
Yeah.
I'm not religious now, but there was a time I grew up in a religious family, guys. I remember what it's like to be religious, and I'm confused at other religious people sometimes. Like, how does that guy not get tomatoes thrown at him by defiling the house of God like that? Am I confused? Like, isn't that your holy place, right? Anyway. It's these we know that religion is used by the ruling class in order to shepherd the masses. Karl Marx says religion the opiate of the masses. James.
This one from Yusuf says also they don't offer Arabic or any translator when they do get a court date, talking about Palestinians that are being held without due process. So yeah, they don't get translators at all.
I don't want to read this one. I saw this one. I believe that white women cosplaying as Black women is a big problem, he says here. So yeah, I've seen so many of these people exposed. There's a lot of these. Also, there's Indian troll farms. Like, a lot of these people have been they pose as white supremacists, as people as like pro-Western. There have been so many accounts exposed, and they're like, we need a white America. We need to get rid of all the Black and browns. And it's some Indian motherfucker making money trolling people in the West. The same thing with white women. There's a famous right-wing influencer. I don't remember his name, but it was a very viral tweet where he was like, as a gay Black woman, I support Donald Trump. But he posted on his real account. People underestimate how much this kind of stuff happens. Don't underestimate how much these white supremacists, Western chauvinists will lie in order to accomplish their agenda. But go ahead, Jaybe.
Yeah. This one from Virtuoso says Cory Booker, based on his performative demeanor, looks like he's going to rip his shirt off. Nothing but empty words in this promo. Yeah.
Bro, I only show you guys a little bit of it, but if you ever want to see some raw cringe, he's doing a Macho Man Randy Savage impersonation, giving a political speech, and he's like, "Why aren't Democrats doing more stuff like me? Like, why ain't Democrats fighting more?" His example of fighting more is doing a Macho Man impersonation. But go ahead, JB.
All right. Also, Eric says economic inequality is by far the single most determinant of health in any society. Look at the book called The Spirit Level. Capitalism drives inequality, consequently poor public health. So thank you very much for that. And then Zoya says politicians should be scared of failing their constituents. Absolutely.
Look, you guys see these Johnny come lately. I'm assuming Azura is telling the truth here. Look, TYT wants to do a general strike. Is that true? You guys see how they always?
I mean, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Put your money where your mouth is. Let's go. Have us on. We'll talk about it.
I have a
I mean, they got like I said, they have over 6 million subscribers. They be the ones to get the message out to the most people.
Yeah.
They got the most subscribers in YouTube media. So they would be the ones to get it out. Let them get the message out. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah.
That's another example. We got a Republican president. Now Jake Uger's calling for general strikes. Didn't call for a general strike under a Democrat. I'm sorry, I'm too much of an asshole, guys. I have a hard time giving people credit at any time. I would say I guess that is a good thing, but I have a hard time, guys, giving these people credit. I really do.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have time for DM Roger. I'm sorry. In fact, Sabby, what do you have going on tonight before you got a hard stop?
Oh yeah, I'm just covering five news stories tonight, and that's it.
All right, cool. Nick, what do you have coming up?
You already know I'm in the live cooking. I'm always in the live cooking. So this will be the 6th show. I'm gonna see how long I can keep the streak going. Now I plan. My goal is at least 12 weeks. You guys know me. My goal is to do 12 weeks straight without breaking the show. And Friday, we have Shama Sawan who's joining, and we're gonna dive more into the public backlash against Israel. I'm gonna dive more into the MAGA backlash and him threatening literally the entire global economy because the world turning against Israel. But you guys know, whenever it's me and Shama, you already know it's gonna be a banger. Also, I was about to discuss Bernie denying genocide, but I'm sorry, guys, I had to bring that with Shama because there's nothing better than roasting Bernie Sanders with Shama Sawan. So we have a great banger to end the week for our new Nick at Primetime show. So make sure you guys check me out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We gotta keep the streak going unless there's like my computer melt down right before the show, unless I have some sort of medical emergency. We're gonna see how long we keep the streak going. So make sure you guys tune in Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
All right, and then next week I'll be having on Naheem Way. He is a reparations activist. He'll be on my channel this Tuesday, and then also I'll be doing news stories here on Revolutionary Blackout Network. So if you guys have not already, please go ahead and give a like on your way out. This was a great show. Thank you so very much to everybody for tuning in. And yeah, I think we are pretty much done, and we're gonna head on out. Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying bye to the homies. That's all.
All right. Take care, everybody. And we'll end with the Patron shout out. And you guys have yourself a great night. So good night, everybody.